Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the You Have Got to Be Knitting Me knitting podcast. My name is Nora and I host this podcast. You can follow me on social media as You Have Got to Be Knitting Me on Instagram and TikTok, and Nora Byron on Ravelry, which I always say in my episodes, but people actually have been friending me on Ravelry. I feel like every time I open it I have a Ravelry notification, which is kind of fun. Sorry I don't really leave very good pattern notes. I'm trying to work on it, but so far the notes that I leave even confuse myself. So anyway, yeah, today's kind of a mega episode because it's a little bit longer between filming than I wanted, or than I planned to be, because I went to DC for a little bit to visit my friends, which I'm always going to DC for a little bit to visit my friends. Kind of something I love to do. But yeah, so I went a little bit longer between filming, so I have a lot to talk about. I have 3 finished objects, 2 works in progress, and some catch up to do. So that is the overview of the episode. Let's get knitting. Okay, so the first thing I have to talk about is what I'm wearing, which is my Look at My Holes drop sleeve sweater by James and Watts, which I test knit, but the pattern is out now. So if you want to knit this, the pattern's out. I knit it in the yarn, which is Magpie Fibers Nest, and the color is Radar Love, and this is the suggested yarn for the pattern. And I knew when I wanted to test knit this, or when I wanted to knit this, I knew I wanted to knit it in red, but now that I've finished, I kind of looked at the other colorways that are available in this yarn line, and I was like, maybe I'll knit another one day. But yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this, and it's pretty fast to knit. It's a mesh yarn, so there's obviously lots of holes, which I feel like kind of makes the fabric grow really quickly, and it's an 8-row repeat, I'm pretty sure, so that just means that you kind of like just want to knit those 8 rows and then knit through another 8 rows. I feel that's motivating when it's a little chart. Makes me knit faster. And not a chart, I don't think there is a chart for this pattern, just when there's a set row repeat, I feel motivated to just get through those rows, and then the sweater just knits itself. It's also pretty big needle size as well, so I knit the sweater pretty quick, and it's a very good piece for summer to fall. I wore it to see Tig, which we got tickets to see Tig, the comedian, for my mom for her birthday, and I went to P-Town and wore this sweater, and I thought P-Town was a really good place to debut my Look at My Holes sweater. And we had a great time at the comedy show as well. So this is the sweater that I made. It's a medium, if that's important to you, if you want to judge what a medium looks like. This is what the medium looks like. Also, I didn't pin mine. And then since other people's finished objects have come out, I think the instructions did say to pin it, but I just don't really pin things unless it has like an edging that needs to be a certain way, or if it really needs to be stretched out. So I just blocked it and laid it flat. But I was noticing that a lot of other people's projects had a little bit more like space, and like the fabric was a little bit thinner. I'm assuming that they use the same weight of yarn, but I'm just thinking that maybe if I pinned mine and stretched it out a little bit more, it would look different. But also I've only worn this for a few hours, and I feel like through wear it's probably going to open up a bit as well. So that's just a little note for mine that I did not pin it. If you're looking in, like, looks a little dense, that's probably why. Anyway, this is my first finished object, and I'm really happy with it. Okay, so the next finished object I have is also a test knit. This is the Herding Cats hat by Charlotte Stone, or Stoneknits, and the pattern is out now. And Charlotte reached out to me to knit this hat, and I was really kind of starstruck because I'm such a big fan, and she reached out to little old me. And I was really extra excited to knit this hat because the Herding Cat socks were the first Charlotte Stone pattern I've ever knit, and now I've knit like at least 10, probably more. I live near an Air Force base, and there's been planes like really crazy today, and I'm kind of like hearing a plane off in the distance, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, so I knit the Herding Cat socks when I was living in Belfast. And do you ever have like projects that you really remember what you were watching? I remember watching the movie Spellbound with Ingrid Bergman and Gregory Peck, and I love that movie. And I also love knitting my herding cat socks, and I just really remember those experiences being connected. Anyway, this is the hat version of those socks, and I think it came out so cute. And I'm not really a hat person, so when she reached out to me, I was excited to knit the pattern, but I like have kind of been burned by myself of knitting hats that I never wear. So I have my color quadrant hat by James and Watts is my favorite hat. All the other ones I knit I never wear. So I knew this needed to be a gift, but I am a professional cat sitter at the moment. So I knit this for Betsy, who I take care of her cats, 3 cats. So I base them off of her cat. She has 2 brown and gray and black striped cats, Mia and Sammy, and then 1 tuxedo cat named Charlotte. So, and I really love those cats. So especially Sammy, he knows he's my favorite. So I based it off of them, and I'm gonna give her the hat tomorrow. I knit the size 1. I originally was making the size 2 and then went back. 1 because I ran out of yarn. I was knitting from stash, and one of the balls of yarn was an unknown quantity. I didn't weigh it before. I think I thought it was a full skein and it wasn't. But also, as I was running out of yarn, I was like, this looks too big. And I feel like hats is kind of hard to judge because people's heads are all different sizes, and people's like how much stretch people want is all different sizes. So it's kind of hard to knit hats for other people, but I think the size 1 is good. I put it on and it felt good on me. So yeah, so this is what the hat looks like, and it's a folded brim. This kind of construction where you're knitting it like a garter stitch, and then you like flip it inside out and knit it in the other direction, and then you have this nice brim. The Oslo hat by PetiteKnit is like this. That's the last time I knit something in this style. And the yarn I used is all from Stash. I actually can't remember what the pink yarn is from, but I know it's Will of the Andes Sport, and the color is Blossom, but I can't remember. Usually I like know all of my yarn in my stash. I'm kind of crazy like that. Everything's categorized in my brain. I don't know where that came from, but I also have these, which is all Wool of the Andes Sport scraps, which was from a baby sweater I knit for my cousin. That has sharks on it because my cousin grew up on the Cape, and we have sharks on the Cape now, and now she lives in South Carolina where there's even more sharks. But I knit a sweater for her baby, and I've now learned that the baby was like always too big for the sweater and never got to wear it, which I think is kind of funny. And I also never took a single photo of that sweater, so it's like my least appreciated knit ever, because I have even no way of documenting it. Anyways, these are all scraps from that sweater. I'm sure this one's called white. I'm sure this one's called black, or maybe coal. I'm sure this one's called like silver or something. Whatever gray, brown, black and white yarn is in that line, I'm sure that's what it is, but I'm not sure. Oh, and then finally I did duplicate stitch for the stripes, kind of just the other coloring of the cats, Sammy and Mia. I did just some fingering weight brown I did duplicate stitch for. So if you want to add some details onto your cats, you can do that. So this is the hat, Herding Cats hat by Charlotte Stone. So cute. I can't wait to give it to Betsy. I hope she really likes it. Okay, my last finished object is my Olga jacket. I think it came out so good, and I've actually worn it quite a bit. So there's a little thread. Yeah, here it is. I am really happy with it. The yarn is Wool of the Andes, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted. The blue is Baltic heather, and the red is rose heather. I'm really happy with how the colors came out, especially now that it's all finished. I think the completed look is, I think the colors really complement each other. I'm using these silver buttons that I got at the yarn seller, which I showed in more detail in the last episode, but they have a really kind of funny scene on them. Yeah, this is also the size medium, and I think it came out so good. I loved knitting it. And what else do I have to say? Oh, does anybody have any recommendations for cardigans? This one isn't too bad, and if I put it on and like just place the fabric over each other, it's fine. But I just have a lot of problems when I knit cardigans, especially ones that aren't steeked, that they like open up like this. And it drives me crazy. And I don't think it's how the buttons are sewn, because it happens on all of my sweaters. But these ones are quite large buttons, so maybe that's it. If anybody has any advice about my cardigan opening, let me know. But yeah, I wore this a lot. I went to DC and also took a little pit stop in New York City to go to a Broadway show, which I'll talk about at the end of the episode. But this was the only layer I brought on my trip, and it served me well. It also was pouring rain for like 10 minutes in New York, and the sweater was doing pretty good at like expelling the water off of it, so it was kind of waterproof sweater, which was great. This sweater did kind of take on a lot of weather in the week that I brought it on a trip. But yeah, this is the Olga jacket by PetiteKnit, and I love it, and I love it so much that I am currently knitting a second one, which is right here. My second Olga jacket is a little crazy. I knit a different color for every stripe of the body. This is all Knit Picks Wool of the Andy worsted, and were we surprised? And I just knit a different color for every stripe, which was really fun. I think there's 40 stripes here. This was my yarn setup. So I have all of the yarn that is left over here, and then tiny balls of yarn that I've been saving. And I planned out all of my stripes because I didn't want any of there's just like a lot of dark blue stripes, and I did not want them to be anywhere near each other. So I planned out everything on a piece of paper, and this is what it looks like so far. This is also the medium. It's the exact same as that one. I think there's one more stripe in the body just because I had 40 colors. I think that's 39 stripes. Yeah, this is what it looks like. And I did just plain for the sleeves. Plain. This is Wool of the Andes worsted pink Posy heather. This was like one ball and a little bit, if you're wondering how much yarn it takes. I think it's going to take me like 2.5 to knit the sleeve. And then the cuff is Garnet heather. Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and I'm going to do the same Garnet heather for the button band and collar. And so far I have one sleeve done, and the other sleeve I have like 10 more rows of before the cuff, and I have it all squeezed onto tiny 9-inch circulars right now, which looks annoying now, but that's exactly how I knit the other one, and it looks good. It doesn't look all squished after you block it. So yeah, so this is my crazy Olga jacket, and hopefully I'm gonna finish it today. I have very little knitting left to do with it. While I'm transferring the footage to edit this, I'll hopefully finish this. And I have 2 different sets of lime green buttons I'm gonna choose between when I finish this, so stay tuned for that. Olga jacket number 2. Okay, so the last work in progress will lead into my little yarn haul. So I went to, I was just visiting my friends in DC, and I went to a new to me yarn store called Looped Yarn Works it's in DuPont Circle, if you are near DC and want to go there. And it was my first time going there, and I was looking just to look around, but usually I'm in the market for sock yarn when I'm trying new yarn stores, so that's what I got. I got 2 balls of sock yarn. So the first one is, it was also pouring rain on my journey to that store too, in my Olga sweater. I got a few compliments in the store, which is always great, especially when you're surrounded by your fellow knitters. And also was doing that thing where it was like expelling the water off of it, which is great. So I got 2 skeins of yarn. This one is Big Little Yarn Co. The line is Trusty Sock, and the colorway is New, N-U-E. I think it's so pretty, just a speckled gold and yellows and blues, and yellow and gold are my favorite colors, so I couldn't really pass this one up. And I just got a pair of brown shoes that I think these are gonna look really good with. And the pattern I'm knitting is simply ribbed sock with square heel, which I love this pattern. This is, if you watched several episodes, I think this is the third time I've knit this sock since starting filming knitting podcasts, so I love this sock. It starts with a two-reeler cast on, which looks so nice. Optional two-reeler cast on if that's intimidating for you. And then one rib, and then it switches to 2x2 rib. So super cute. And then the heel is like square and interesting. So this is the sock that I'm making with my new yarn that I got at Looped Yarn Works. And I was at my friend's house, so I didn't have my Swift. So I just wound it on my knees by hand, which was kind of old school and fun. So this is my last work in progress. And then I will show you what else I got at the yarn store. Okay, this is, I don't know if any of you guys follow Tomorrow Knits on TikTok or anywhere, but her name's Kylie and I really like her content. And she made a TikTok where she was like, went to Looped Yarn Works and she was like, and now I've bought my most expensive yarn to date. And then I went to Looped Yarn Works and then I had to message her and be like, I also bought my most expensive yarn to date because this skein of yarn did cost $45. And that's okay. It's so beautiful. And also, like, with all the tariffs and stuff, I'm pretty sure this yarn brand is Japanese. With the tariffs, like, are we going to have access to beautiful French and Japanese indie dyed yarns in this country without paying the price? Probably not. So maybe I slipped this in at the last second and got some really beautiful yarn for maybe I won't be able to for a while. So I did spend a lot of money on this yarn. It's okay. This is La Bien Aimée, which I've obviously followed online for so long, but I'd never even seen their yarn in person. So I was like, when I saw this in person, and it was just so beautiful. And this is their BFL Tough Sock, which I don't think I've actually knit with BFL. So I'm excited. I'm just going to knit a vanilla pair of socks, I think, unless something else inspires me. So I'm kind of excited to test BFL versus other. I think most of my yarn probably is merino, so test its durability. Maybe that's why it's so expensive. I don't think so. I think it's because it's from other parts of the world. There was one more thing. Oh, the colorway is called Inko. That was the last little piece of information that you probably needed if you like this yarn and wanted to buy it for yourself. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna knit a vanilla pair of socks, and I have two contenders for toes and heels. I have one like sparkly pink and orange yarn that I got in New York a few years ago that I think would look nice for the contrast. And I also think like a lavender, which I have not that much of. That might also be a deciding factor if I even have enough of it. Yeah, this yarn is so pretty. And I really like Loop Yarn Works. This is my little haul from it. And they also had, this is dangerous. They had the redesign, I think that's the brand. The leather bags that West Knits, or Stephen and Penelope carry. They had like the leather doctor bag versions, which I really wanted. And seeing them in person was just like, wow. So hopefully one day, maybe I'll put it on my knitting wish list, and one day I'll get one of those beautiful leather bags. They were so pretty and it was cool to see them in person. So if you're in DC, Looped Yarn Works, I had a great time there. That's my little yarn haul and finishing all my whips and stuff. So I'll just do a little catch up, and yeah. This is my first time opening my notebook the entire episode, so I was off script that whole time if you couldn't tell. Yarn haul we got, and catch up. Okay, so yeah, I did go to DC to see my friends. A lot of my friends live in DC. I hope to move to DC one day. That's the dream. Great yarn stores, great friends, so what else does a girl need? But on my way down, we had tickets to see Oh Mary on Broadway with Jinx Monsoon. This is my second time seeing Oh Mary. I did see it with Cole last year, and now I've seen it again with Jinx, and it was really awesome. And the first time I went with my family, which was great, and this time I went with my friends, which was so fun. And it was mostly everyone's first time seeing the show, so it was just really fun to be like excited on behalf of them to see Oh Mary for the first time. So that was a great day. And then we went to Margaritaville in Times Square, which is a great place to have a large group of people eat in Times Square. So that was kind of how we ended up there. We had a great time. there. And then I took the train to DC with the rest of my friends, and I spent the whole week there. Lots of fun to be had pretty much every night, but some more highlights besides O'Mary. And then we went to see Haim on Wednesday night, which was a really fun concert, really chill concert. It was raining a little bit, but it was just chill. Those girls are really talented and great musicians, put on a great show. So if you have the opportunity to see Haim, I think people are like, their shows aren't really sold out, so I would jump on those tickets if you can get them, especially for cheap. It was a great concert. And I love seeing concerts with my friends. And then also we saw Hamilton in theaters, which was re-released for the 10th anniversary, which was really fun. And there were some people in our theater dressed up, and thankfully I know there's kind of been controversy about if you were supposed to sing or not. I was glad that not that many people were singing in my theater and I could just enjoy the show. But to each its own. Just in case you were wondering, no one was really singing in my theater, or if they were doing it quietly. I wasn't singing, but yeah, I saw Hamilton and it was really fun. And it was just great to catch up with my friends. So those are the main highlights of my DC trip. I didn't get much knitting done, and I never do on trips, even though I worry so much about what I'm going to bring on knitting, knitting I'm going to bring on trips. But those few inches of that sock that you saw is pretty much all I knit in the airport on the way home. So yeah, not much knitting to do on my DC trip, but that's okay and expected. But I just did read a very good book that I want to share, even though I think I'm at the end of the hype of this. I think this is pretty popular. I just missed out on it. It's called The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and it's a mystery set at a summer camp, and it's really good. It was recommended by my friends Maddie and Sage, and they know that I love mysteries, and I used to work at a summer camp, so it was a really good recommendation for me, and I really liked it. So the house that I cat sit at, she has a screened-in porch that the cats really like, and I was just out there all day reading, and I read it in just a few days, so I really liked that. And then finally, what I'm currently reading is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is part of the Priory of an Orange Tree series, which I just finished that one, and this is a prequel, but you can read it in whatever order. So I'm just reading it in publishing order. And apparently there's one more smaller book that just came out this week. But so far I'm only on page 80, so I don't really have that much of an opinion yet. But it feels the same as the Priory of an Orange Tree, but just getting the characters established. Right now I'm a little bit lost, but I know I just need to keep reading and I'll understand. I just always feel confused at the beginning of fantasy books, but that's what I'm reading. Let me know if you're reading anything good and have any recommendations. And also let me know what you're knitting, especially if you're knitting while watching this episode. I'm always knitting while watching Knitting Podcast, so I'd love to know what you're knitting. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.